Chinese idea of 5 elements which help spirits and good luck flow. Starting with fire, then you move to earth, metal, water, wood. This is just the escape ending, there's not too much about that one. You have the lower ones, which are the incorrect answers for the top ones. So if you pick the wrong word, you would go here. Once here, though, you don't actually go anywhere if you click the wrong ones again, only if you click the right ones. As you can see by all of the connections, there's only one right answer for each. So that's what we get on. So once you get to here from a wrong answer, you don't go anywhere. That's why it was to make it a lot easier. Now there's no actual transitions between them because I could not figure out how to do transitioning. So this is actually the printout you'd be required to have, primarily due to needing the things to solve, such as the anagrams, which will give you the first word for the first door. You can brute force it though. If this wasn't a prototype, it would be a lot harder to brute force, or almost impossible. Now, this was a useful item that I got from the internet because I don't know Morse code that well, and it was a lot easier. This most people would use the internet for, and I expect them to. Or I expect them to, again, brute force like the majority of the puzzles. It's not that hard. And the last two are logic. The first is a fairly simple riddle, and the second is a maths, and this is where the wood part comes in. That's the last door, pretty much. So to go through it, say I click this one, it's incorrect. But you can't click any of the incorrect ones again once you're in the wrong place. Hopefully you'd be using the printout, but you'd end up here, where you don't actually go anywhere. Which was just, I guess I kind of got lazy on that one, because I'd never used Adobe XD before for this. So you can't actually click on any more wrong answers. But then you make it to the escape ending, and that's that. It's a paper prototype with a digital version. Obviously, I'll add a link into the... If it was to be an actual thing, I'd add a link onto the printout so people... So this week's prototype is a Chindogu app. This means it's practically useless to most people and follows a few sets of rules. Those aren't too important to cover. My actual app is meant to be a description giver, where you'll either use a preset of a item to get a very vague description, or if it was an actual app, you would have been able to upload an image from your phone, and it would give you a randomly generated description. This was meant so that you really couldn't use it for much beyond charades, and potentially if you were trying to figure something out, but you didn't want to go to Google, you'd still have to go to Google anyway, because it is actually really, really hard to guess some of the types of descriptions it would give. Of course, this isn't fully developed, but this is designed for a phone that I've got, which is a Google Pixel 3 XL. Obviously, it could be very easily changed. Each one connects to a different place, and you've got the back button, which always goes back. That was for some reason not linked, but it is now linked. There's the how to use with a picture of I think that's a goose. It probably is. And then you've got a few preset photos and descriptions I set up. Now you can see the flow, which just kind of exists here at the moment, but it starts there and then you can interact with all of them. Of course, even if I showed you this, it would be really actually hard to show it because it's made for a phone and I can't record on my phone yet, which is the main problem. The Chindogu app itself is meant to be basically useless. In fact, the majority of the time it has no real purpose and is typically anarchistic, and you definitely couldn't monetize this app, that's for sure. Because you'd probably get some weird descriptions if it was randomly generated, such as the upload feature. I chose a few simple ones you'd see every day, like a lamp, a yoga ball, a laptop, a phone, and a strawberry, because they were the first items I could find on Google. I didn't have the ability to take the images myself. None of these images are... I have my prototype for this week, week 10, teamwork prototype. It actually took me quite a while to do. First you have the intro. It's a one-word game. I actually got the idea off a YouTube video. You have settings, of course, the basic ones, a description of how you play the game, and the advanced settings, which actually links to here. You then have, if you hit ignite, you get sent to this screen, but we'll cover more on that in a bit. Contact brings you to here. You can fill in your thing or contact through two methods, email or phone, and submit. And I even managed to find a nice thank you meme of a duck. Now, back to the Ignite. So this is where the actual game starts. You have private group, friend list, or a random group. Now, random group actually links to this part. It takes you into a waiting thing. Each one is about 10 minutes or so. Not 10 minutes, 10 seconds. You then, when it does eventually find a group in the real app, it would send you to here and then load into this. Now this you can actually, if I zoom in a bit, get a bit of a better view on how the thing goes. So the apple is the picture, well, the apple tree. So one says red, and then they follow along one word each time. Eventually, you will be able to submit once everyone agrees and hits the submit button, which would be located somewhere on the screen. This, which is on most of the screens, actually takes you to the chat list, which you can probably see. These all take you to your chat list. Actually, the pictures on these circles were specifically taken by me years ago. Now, this is the messaging system. Basically, you can communicate with those you've actually befriended. Friend list leads you to here. So you have friend list, which you then have incoming requests from people who have sent, and you can either accept or deny. An outgoing request where you can send requests to people you've just played with. Of course, there are privacy settings in the advanced settings. Group invite leads you to here where you can either put in a code or give someone your code. It takes you to here, which waits for the host, finds the players, and then links back to here, which is expected as this is the